It's always a bit of a thrill when you spot a Rolls-Royce out on the road. There's not that many around, so the exclusivity and prestige of this British car maker remains near unrivaled. I'm about to have a chat with the Regional Director for Asia Pacific of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars, a company that's cutting edge, yet steeped in history. Now Paul, the Ghost Series 2 has recently been launched in Australia and it's positioned a little bit differently. Can you explain the changes and what you're hoping for the Australian market?
Ghost first came to Australia in 2009 and since then we've seen a complete shift in the brand and more Australian customers really appreciating that car. This year, at this time, we've brought Ghost Series 2, which is a reinterpretation of that product, made it more relevant, more up to date, completely new face, new light technology, and underlying we've made the magic carpet ride even more enhanced. So the Rolls-Royce experience in Ghost Series 2 is what Ghost was originally, but even further developed and further enhanced.
Right, and what do you envisage for the Australian market like moving forward?
Yeah, I mean this year so far we've had great growth here. I mean we're 180% up. So we see that growth continuing. Of course that's a phenomenal result. We wouldn't expect that to continue, but we do see strong, steady growth coming on board and Ghost Series 2 playing an important part in that, but also Wraith that we brought to market only a year or so ago. The fastest, most powerful Rolls-Royce ever, and it really has changed the perception of Rolls-Royce and what Rolls-Royce is all about, and very much a car that people need to drive to understand.
So there is a slightly older, it is one of the Ghosts. Can you tell me a bit about this car?
Yeah, this is a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost actually, from 1912. A little bit about the names first. So Rolls-Royce has got what we call ethereal names. So we've got Phantom, Ghost and Wraith. And all of them are words that people know, but you really can't quite touch them.
Yep.
And Silver Ghost really sort of set that whole principle for Rolls-Royce in terms of that naming convention to come about. And the reason that it came about that was because in those early days of automotive pioneering, they were very noisy, unreliable, a lot of backfire. And this car had a near silent way of passing by. And hence it was called the car that moved like a ghost, and that's where it got its name from originally.
That is an absolutely beautiful looking car, and if there was to be a new car, you mentioned the names are very ethereal. Where would you go from there for namings? Like, is there a process that you'd go through?
We're very diligent about the way that we decide to name cars. I mean, when we named Wraith, we went through a variety of iterations and internal discussions, and of course testing what people understood it to be.
Tell me about the Spirit of Ecstasy. Like you can see, it's very big on the old car, and it's a lot more smaller and slightly more polished, I suppose, in its form. So what's the story behind the Spirit of Ecstasy?
Well, the Spirit of Ecstasy really came about as a result of the early motoring pioneers putting their own interpretation of badging on the front of their cars. And there are many stories around the Spirit of Ecstasy, who she modelled on. She's got many different names. And Lord Montague of Bewley had a secretary. One of the rumours is that she's very much sculptured on her and her face and her features, etc. The size has varied over time with safety requirements, etc. But on this particular car here, the Ghost Series 2, we have a stainless steel Spirit of Ecstasy, which you can adjust either up or down at parked, or you can even drive with it down if you so choose to do so. But very much it's designed to cope with front impact where it automatically reclines in incredible speed. So it's a very unique story about this lady and something that is very, very much a visual identifier for Rolls-Royce. If you see that Spirit of Ecstasy in the rear view mirror, you really know what's behind you.
So Rolls-Royce as a brand is 110 years old now?
That's right, yep.
So where do you see the brand heading in, say, 110 years' time?
Well, if I had a crystal ball and I could look into that and I was a sort of somebody who could tell the future, I'll tell you that. I think that we live by a consistent set of brand values, but we're also edgy in that we move into new areas like Wraith, and we see the brand evolving in a more contemporary, more approachable, more appealing way for people who are, so that we can educate and let people understand the brand more. That's what we'd like to do with the brand over time, and we'll do that through product innovation, engineering innovation, and of course our fundamental commitment to bespoke and luxury.
It sounds like there's a very bright future ahead for Rolls-Royce, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Thanks, Paul Harris, for his time.
Thank you very much.